time to play ball. Welcome to the podcast with no limits, whether it be sports, current events, or random thoughts. This is the place to step in and stay a while. Your host is a proud alumnus of Rio Hondo Prep, a former minor league baseball umpire, and a man with strong opinions. Welcome to the Get Home Safe podcast and your host, Matt Hersema.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Get Home Safe. I'm your host, Matt Hersema, but if you've tuned in before, you of course know that. Just saying my name here on the podcast, it's been a while, but I have a great guest on the podcast for you guys today. As you guys are well aware, on Fridays, that's what you tune in for, to hear not just me talk, but to hear a conversation I have with somebody who I've either crossed paths with or has been a mentor to me, or just I've had a working relationship with, sometimes people that I've never met before, which is a lot of fun. But today I got someone on the podcast who is, yes, another Rio Hondo Prep alum. He was actually from the class of 2001, 2 years ahead of me. He was a senior when I was a sophomore, and he's someone I actually really looked up to as I was going through high school, even though we were only in high school together for a couple of years. But he was one of those guys that was a senior leader. He was actually a leader in his class and on his teams well before that. But it was when he was a senior that I think he shined bright, I'll say, with his leadership abilities, and just a guy that a high character guy that so many of us young man looked up to, and he was gracious guy to talk to, and just someone again that I really enjoyed my experience with him in high school. And I'm talking about none other than Mr. Kyle Corral, one-time Academy president, quarterback of a championship football team, played in a baseball championship game in 1999 when he was a sophomore. We're going to get to all that. Kyle and I look at Kyle as a guy who are very similar in the sense he was much thinner and faster than me, but he, quarterback, I mentioned, a catcher, although he could hit a little bit, and he hit leadoff, I think. Basketball, kind of the same guy, I think. Scrappy guys that didn't really have a place out there. If I have to say, it was probably one area I was a little bit better at Kyle, was scoring baskets. But other than that, we were usually getting in fights with people. And anyway, basketball was definitely lower on the totem pole than the other sports, although I really loved it. Anyway, Kyle Corral's on the podcast today. Kyle, when we were in RHLA together, Kyle took the reins, really. He was at the forefront, I should say, of expanding Kare Youth League eastward, and going from the Arcadia and Covina sites to expanding to what is now the Upland Center. And so Kyle is the Upland site director. It was people like him, Mike Murphy, Dave Carson, who've both been on this podcast before. They were among those who expanded east when there were a lot of people that didn't think it could be done, it needed to be done, but it was Kyle, who was very passionate in his college years and mid-20s there, that really said, no, this is something we want to do, felt called to do it. So we'll talk to him about all that today, reminisce about some of our high school days. And also Kyle has a big announcement with him and his family. He's married and has a couple of kids. And so I haven't had a chance to talk with him in a while. So I thought, what better way to do that than to bring him on the Get Home Safe podcast and, go down memory lane. And of course, look forward to something that he's going to announce here on the podcast that I think a lot of the listeners will love to take interest in. So let me step aside, or I should say, bring Kyle on board here onto the Get Home Safe podcast, because you guys want to hear from him today. So it's an absolute pleasure to have today on the podcast my friend from back in the day in high school, Mr. Kyle Corral. Okay, I'm happy to be joined by Kyle Corral from the class of 2001 at Rio Hondo Prep. Was a senior when I was a sophomore back in the day, so I looked up to him quite a bit. He's now the site director for Upland in Kare Youth League. He's in fundraising, he's in coaching, he's doing all kinds of things. Kyle, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
Kyle, it's been a long time, man. I've had all kinds of people on here, and I try to tell everybody it's no particular order. I don't go alphabetically. I don't go by importance. I'm just trying to make the rounds here. So don't feel like you're last on a list or anything, because I wanted to have you on this podcast for quite some time.
Well, thank you. I don't know. They're all great people. It's not who's better, Dave Carson Jr. It's like
Yeah, no.
I can't wash that guy's feet. So everyone you've had on here is higher on the totem pole than I am. So
Oh, well, it's fun. It's fun talking to people so that it's not just me rambling away. But Kyle, you were someone I looked up to greatly in high school, and that kind of when the senior class and the sophomore, when you're a freshman, you're kind of new, and it's like, oh man, but when you start to be a sophomore, it's like you really start to feel things moving, and you're like, okay, man, these guys were sophomores just 2 years ago. Kyle, these guys are seniors, and
Right.
you were in a great class of 2001. You played in well, let's see, let's slow it down here. You won a CIF championship in 2000 in football. You were on a baseball team that unfortunately lost the game. I have this weird thing, Kyle, where I remember like all kinds of weird details, specifically about your playing days and some of your teammates. Who are some of your favorite teammates that you played with from your senior class?
There's not like one favorite teammate. It's like at Kare and Rio, it's like you're a team. It's like a brotherhood. So how do you say, oh, this brother's better than this brother? It's like,
man,
you have all of them. You see Ross, Chris Rossiter, Echevarria, Javi, JR, Dave Hong. These guys, Kevin, they all played a role in how we, the team. And you even have the international students, Brian Trong, Can Lee. These guys, that you build that rapport and that relationship with them where it's like your brother's out there. So, I couldn't say who's my favorite. I could get along with just about anybody. You can put a dog in here and all, he'd like be my best friend. It's like, yeah, I love them all.
Well, what's interesting about teammates, back in the day, you work so hard to kind of there's this big buildup, right? And you do everything together, sleepovers and outings and getting into trouble just a little, and competing and doing all these things, and then all of a sudden it's gone. But really, it's those friendships in those 4 years, or even beyond that, before that really are a life. If one of those guys called you up right now and needed something, I gotta imagine you'd be right there, and that's just kind of what it's all about.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. It never dies. It's like, yeah, I'll run into these guys, throughout life, and it's just kind of like you kind of instantly go back to that mode of, this is my guy right here. Yeah. And, you could have a conversation like it was yesterday and, come back and we're kind of, you recapture where you are in your life and stuff. But yeah, absolutely. It's crazy.
Time. Oh, such a great time. And I want to relive it. It's been over 20 years, 20 years for me and over 20 for you. And I'm just like, no, this isn't fair. I want to go back and do it again. But
yeah.
Anyway, we go on to bigger and better things. You're now a husband, father of 3, you were telling me. So you and the wife you're outnumbered now.
That's for sure. Yeah. So COVID happened, right? And a baby was born. So that's kind of, she would say she was done at 2, but we had 2 girls, and being a coach, in the back of your mind, you kind of want that boy, right, to play catch with and, do the things that, you had as a kid growing up. So
it was meant to be, it sounds like. And there's a few probably good things that came out of COVID, a lot of bad things, but it sounds like there were a few good things. Kyle, I teased it in the intro here. I said, you and your family got kind of a big announcement, and I want the listeners on this podcast to be aware and to be able to go support you and your new endeavor here. So what is the big announcement for the Corral family?
Right. My wife and I, we're going to be opening up a cookies and ice cream shop in downtown Upland. So right there in historic downtown Upland, if any of you guys are familiar with that. It's called Cookies and Pints. So if you're interested on when we're going to start up, you could follow us on Instagram at Cookies, the letter N, Pints, as in pints of ice cream, okay, or Facebook, and we have a website as well. So if we're anticipating opening around June, so we hope you guys all can make it. It would be great, to see you guys, to support this. We support Kare. So, as if the business comes, to fruition and we're able to make some money, Kare is going to be at the top of our list to share that with.
Oh man, that is great news. But well, as if we need an excuse to go find something sweet to eat, right? Somebody, hey, ice cream. You're just, oh, I know a guy who owns one. I have to go support this, right? So come on,
Absolutely.
people, get out there. So the summer is coming. It's going to be warm, nice night for an ice cream. I mean, you shouldn't need an excuse.
Right. And we're going to have the best anyway. So it's like, you're going to be the first to kind of know where the best is around town. So come out. We'd love to have you guys.
Strategically placed too, where I got to imagine after some Kare events out there in Upland, I know soccer's a lot during the week. I got to imagine there's going to be a flood of kids and families after some of these games. I see you working to put it there in
That's
Upland.
right. Yeah. Right. we want, one of the reasons we wanted to do it is we wanted to create a community, that Kare community in our community. We wanted to share out, broaden our, wings, as you would say, and get to the Upland community to share what we have, invite a kid to Kare or whatever,
That's awesome. No, and we all have that story of how we found Kare Youth League. And I got to imagine there'll be flyers and information there. And some kids, some family may walk in there, hey, let's get some ice cream. And their life may change just because they discover Kare Youth League. And you guys do a great job of advertising and everything. But I mean, I found Kare Youth League because I saw a kid at school carrying a bag of football gear as a second grader. I was like, well, I want to do that, And,
I want some gear, right?
Yeah, I don't want to play football. Tackle football. They make us play two-hand touch here at school. I want to tackle somebody. That'd be way better.
Right.
So anyway, cookies and pints. Get out there and support. And who's the expert here? I gotta imagine.
My wife is the expert. I'm the dishwasher. So it's like, that's kind of how our roles are. So she's a culinary chef. And everyone asked her, like, what is your favorite thing to bake? She's pastry chef. And she's like, cookies. They're so simple, but everyone loves them. It brings you back to when you're a kid, that nostalgia of eating that fresh baked cookie. So that's kind of what we're trying to bring to the community and share with other people.
Wow. Yeah. It's fantastic. Who doesn't like cookies? I don't know anyone. Everyone has, some kind of, that's
maybe some Russian somewhere, right?
We figured it out. All this divisiveness the past few years, all we needed was some cookies. You guys are going to save America and save maybe the world. So this is amazing. Who'd have thought? All this other money we've put in other things, and now all we needed was a little cookie shop.
That's right.
Kyle Corral. Yeah, she's got to be the brains behind the operation. I gotta imagine too. So
that's
awesome. Oh my goodness. Well, Kyle, I talked about finding Kare. What's your story, man? When did you find Kare? How old were you? Was it a friend? And tell me, what were your early interest in Kare? Or did mom just throw you into it? What was your story?
Yeah, so I was like our family was a big little league family back in the day. So in West Covina. So I kind of grew up from kindergarten t-ball to second grade in little league. But then one of my mom's good friends and coworker at the time, she worked for my mom. So my mom owned a business back then, like a daycare center. So her daughter was in Kare and then invited us, said, hey, there's this great program, whatever. And, it's in Covina. It's not going to work out, And then they're like, they have buses, so yeah, probably like my second time, I think I showed up to Wingate Park, in third grade. And then they sent me out there with Phil Horton. He threw some footballs. Man, this guy's fast, it's like, but the second day we tried to arrange like the bus run, I sat on a corner, and I guess I was on the wrong corner and it never picked me up. So like my second time around, I was like sitting on the corner in West Covina. That never got picked up, so I was a little bummed. But then, we worked it out so it was a little closer to my house, and then I was able to, eventually start my career at Kare Youth League.
That is very cool. And what's interesting is whoever came up with that concept of the buses, picking kids up from school, taking them to practice, and then even taking them home, it was genius because, to my knowledge, no other organizations were doing that. I played Little League my first 2 years of eligibility, we'll say, kindergarten and first grade. And it was tough. Grandma had to pick me up after school to get me the things on Fridays. And, my parents, it was the number one thing I think that got me into care, because they both worked until, 5:30, 6 o'clock, was, oh, they'll pick you up. They'll take you. I mean, so that to me was something that separated everybody. And it seemed like it was a big impact for you, except the day you missed the bus.
Yeah, that's right. For sure. And it connected you with other people that you like. One of my best friends as a kid, and we still talk today, the Sotos, Anthony Soto, Andrew Soto, they live like, 4 blocks away from me. I had no idea until like one day, it's like, because I joined in football season, but Anthony always played up because he was a big beast, but so like basketball comes and this giant guy comes in and it's like, who's this guy, right? So like, and that's how like our friendship kind of started, and we would play almost every day after school. It's just kind of like, that's kind of, that was my competition. It was Anthony Soto and myself versus my 4-year-old brother, my older brother, who's 4 years older than me, Eric, and Andrew Soto. So we would just, like run that block.
Wow, what a crew. Andrew was, I think, Andrew was our age, and we never saw him because he always played up too. What a family, the Sotos, man. Just great athletes, but really good people.
Right, for sure. And they have the next generation that are in care now. It's like Rochelle Soto, her son's a real good pitcher, and he's playing in Covina. Yeah, so we're not gonna hear the last of the Sotos, because Anthony has a son, Andrew has a daughter, so yeah, we'll hear him again.
Yeah, and they played at some high levels too, after moving on to other things. But that is so cool to hear that story. I could just imagine, yeah. Hey, this guy's on my team. We're gonna, take on your 4-year
right
older than you. That's awesome. So when you join care, there's a little mix. Kids are funny. Like boys, we love to play the sports, but we also like to go in the creek. We like to do outings. I mean, what type of kid were you? Did you like sports specifically, or were you kind of just all about everything, club meetings and everything?
Yeah, just everything. I just, because basically I was like the latchkey kid, so it's like, get home from school, we would walk home from school, whatever you could find at home to do, that's what you would do. So once there was something organized that you could have fun in, it was like, there's a no-brainer. It's like video games got bored to us like pretty quickly. We would get in trouble throwing dirt clods over the house and stuff like that. So that always existed. So it was just kind of like, yeah, when the buses, they'll pick us up. And then eventually when I was in like 4th grade, Mr. Horton would have me catch for BP at the older division, probably like AAAs or Pac-12 now, whatever it was back then, American or national, whatever. I don't know how it exactly worked, but probably like Jacob Blake's age. So I would basically be at care all day. They would pick me up, I'd catch, or whatever, and then, yeah, I go home and
dude, it was the one-stop shop. And I love talking to guys who are from the Wingate era, because I mean, you go to that park on Saturday, there's games everywhere. I mean, you can do the chains on a random game here. You can go shoot hoops. Then they got this great concession truck with fries and burgers, and it's just like it was heaven, man. Sun up to sundown.
Right. Yeah, you bring your $1, you get your candy bar and Coke, and you're good to go, right?
Wingate combo.
That's right.
The special. That was awesome. Yeah, man. Talk to me about Phil Horton. Sounds like he was pretty impactful on your life. I mean, we all know him. He's a jokester and just a funny guy. I had him as a teacher.
Yeah.
But what was he like as a coach, as a young kid?
Phil probably had the most influential impact in my early days, where it's like, yeah, he spent a little extra time just kind of like, it's like, because I wanted to be there, so I'd do chains for him or whatever. And then he invited me to coach in 6th grade, taking stats with Matt Keeler and probably Jay Led. I think those were the guys that were coaching the team, but I was just kind of like in the back, taking stats. So Yeah. So he's always been like, the professor, in the, like
Yeah,
Kung Fu Panda. There's that guy, right?
no
The
doubt.
guy with the tortoise with the cane or whatever, the grasshopper. Yeah. So
Yeah, I
definitely
miss
influential.
always appreciated Mr. Horton. He was fun to talk to on here, and he's a guy that makes you laugh. And then I remember him on like summer trips and Mount Care and stuff. And we're not supposed to like the Cardinals, but it's just like Mr. Horton was
Right.
always funny and challenging guys, and just a real dude. So what was the process
He
for
was he
you?
was more intense though when I was coaching, because you had
Yeah,
like Steve Martin, and it seemed like they didn't like each other, but I seen him
look at.
break clipboards and stuff like that. So
Oh
it
yeah.
wasn't like right now he's like this wise sage where it's kind of like he doesn't have to say much to get things done. But back then it was a little more it was different where he was more vocal.
Yeah, no, I could see that. And I would speak to so many leaders there at Care, like they're wonderful men, every single one of them. And I'm speaking specifically to the men's side. I'm sure the women's side also, but man, Kyle, I don't think there's one man at Kare Youth League, one leader, adult coach who likes losing or tolerates it. I mean, this is a
Right.
competitive group of men who are trying to live godly lives and teach kids, but they don't like losing, and it's competitive
Right.
and it's crazy.
That's right.
So, hey, there's no participation trophies to my knowledge at Kare Youth League. It's hey, first place. Maybe things have changed. I don't know, but anyway, where did Rio Hondo Prep fall into place for you? I know that at some point in high school, you guys moved to, I think, Diamond Bar or something, so it made Rio more challenging. But how did you end up enrolling at Rio Hondo Prep?
So yeah, how did it come about? So in like 5th grade, I had to move houses from where I grew up for most of my childhood in West Covina on the border of La Puente. But then we had to move, so we for a short time moved with my grandparents, and then we moved to another place in West Covina. So I transferred schools because in West Covina there was a new school opening up, Holland Crest Junior High. So there's Edgewood Middle School, and then Holland Crest opened up, which is like a little south of West Covina High School. But it's that section if you're familiar with West Covina. So I moved to Holland Crest, right, and then coaches, Mr. Parker and stuff were trying to get me to obviously go to RHP, but it never seemed to work out, financially and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
So then like a few weeks into school, the classes there were like full. I had one class where I'm at Holland Crest, so I'm sitting outside the classroom, there's probably 40 kids in there. I'm sitting outside the classroom while the teacher's inside.
Wow.
But then I got sent home because I was not in their dress code. I don't know. I had some kind of stripes on my polo shirt or something like that, or
You're
I don't
missing
know what it
buses.
was.
You're missing buses. You're breaking school
Right.
rules. I mean, it sounds like you're
Right.
perfect for Rio Hondo Prep.
Yeah. So then, my mom has to come in. She's ticked off at this point. So she's like, I was kind of enrolled because I had, my mom had filled out an application, but she just never wanted to commit to, paying money for school. So, but that was kind of the last straw. She had, leave work or whatever to, come pick me up. And so then she's like, I'm sending you to Rio Hondo, kind of, that was 7th grade, I think. Yeah.
And Rio is a big adjustment, I think. I mean, it's not so much in the concept that most of the people there, but just adjusting to a curriculum now, and like, you're doing everything. Hey, you're going to play this instrument. Hey, you're going to sing here. You're going to take this class, that class, and you're going to take the buses here. It's just like I think you learned to grow up pretty fast. What was kind of your early opinions of Rio?
That's kind of like everything I wanted. It's like it wasn't a transition to me. It was like, well, I get to rather than I have to. It's like, you don't at a public school. It's like you're lucky if you get one sport or you make the team. There's like 50 people, trying out or whatever, or band, you get on some list or whatever, so you don't get to do it all. And I just want to, try everything. I enjoyed just about every aspect. School was never really, difficult for me per se. I was never a bad student or something like that.
Yeah, no, I hear that. And it was fun. You're right. The concept of I get to not have to is dead on, and so many opportunities to experience at Rio. I say it all the time here on the podcast. Kyle, you go into high school and you were following up some amazing classes athletically. Rio Hondo football at that time was just on fire. And I have, let's see, I have a memory from you in each sport. If I'll share and then let you comment. Football, basketball, and baseball.
Yeah, well, can I go back one more?
You can.
Yeah, one thing, like in 7th grade, I think it was, this memory's coming back to me, like I'm at camp, and it's like Mike Murphy was, doing Pac-12, and Gary and Del Kirby. But they're like, you have, Jason Lett, he was number 1, he was a tailback at RHP. Now you got Jacob Blake, he's tailback, we need you to be the next tailback at RHP, carry on that number 1 jersey, at RHP. And so that kind of stuck with me, and I went home and I was kind of like fired up. So afterwards, it was kind of like when my parents told me I wasn't going and I had to enroll in Holland Crest, I was a little bit disappointed, but God has a plan, and worked it out.
There's a little spark in there deep down. It was like, hey, I got to follow up. I got to take the reins next. So, in high school, you were a guy, talented dude. You were amongst really talented guys, Jason Denius, Ryan Press. I mean, John Echeverria, just a ton of guys in your class, but the class above you guys was really skilled. The class below, I mean, just a great time to be at Rio. And I remember it was your senior year CIF championship game against Cuyama Valley. We're going to go football first. And you were the quarterback. And I don't think you've played much quarterback until your senior year, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. So I was the backup of the backup my junior year, because you had Hetty, and then you had Brandon Sosa.
That's right.
And then I came in the third string.
Mop it up. No, I remember. Go ahead.
And we were kind of like Jeremiah De Leon. He was going to be, the potential, starting quarterback varsity level through JVs. I was even back up to Jeremiah. So when he transferred to LaSalle, it's like, who's going to be quarterback? And Denius and I were like, we're not going to let Hersema come up here and play quarterback.
This guy, I know.
So we're like, all right, we'll go for it, Because I was running the tailback, like Archangel and stuff like that my junior year.
They put in a few more running plays for the quarterback.
That's right.
I thought, that senior year. So we're playing Cuyama, and I came up for the playoffs, so I got to suit up with you guys. And it was so cool to, be on the varsity and everything.
Right.
You guys did all the work, and we just got to, so you guys get a big lead in the CIF final. And I get, Hersema, you're in, so I got to get snaps in a CIF championship as a sophomore. I think the third snap, their best player, Batiste.
Yeah.
Or
Julio.
Batiste.
I think it's Julio Batiste, right?
Dude did everything. Yeah.
Right.
I hand the ball off, which was my specialty. And I'm standing back there, and he just comes full speed and lays me out. He knew a sophomore was in there. They were mad because they were losing. Just clocks me. Total late hit. They flag it. I'm on the ground. I get up and I start like clapping. I start like taunting at him.
Right.
I have a flag hit me for an unsportsmanlike. And Mr. Drain, I see Mr. Drain put you back in for 2 reasons.
Right.
Number 1, Hersema's an idiot. And number 2, hey, they just hit our guy. Let's go score again. So you went in and then busted a long play for a touchdown, if my memory serves me correctly.
That's correct. Yeah.
And Mr. Lunny, Mr. Lunny was so mad at me. He's like, we don't need guys on varsity who do that or something. I was just like, I just got rocked. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, I'm watching the whole thing. I'm like waiting, championship game. It's my last football game, right, of my career. I don't want to hurt somebody there. These guys are punks, Kuyama. So yeah, so Mr. Drains, yeah, he sees, what turns am I doing over there? You know, it's like, get in there, Corral. Quarterback sneak or something.
Yeah, he called some play. You took off running and scored again, I think. I don't know, but we did score again. We won the game, and I was like, man, I'm off to a rough start on this whole varsity thing.
That's right. That's right.
So, one of my fondest memories, and you guys with the great senior leadership. You guys lost, in the semifinal the year before to those Grace Brethren guys. I hate that school.
I know, they had our number.
But what was it like to come back the next year and to leave no doubt really, and to win a championship after losing? Because Rio was on, we had won 3 in a row. You guys lost in the semis, and then we ended up winning 2 more. So we could have theoretically won 6 in a row. So you guys broke the streak, but then came back strong to start a new one.
Right. Yeah. That the year before that was a tough game. But we did have, like, senior year, the one drawback I had is, like, we had 1 loss in the season. Who was it? Some school is that? The Ravens?
Bloomington.
What is that?
Bloomingdale's, as
Bloomington.
I call them. Bloomington Christian. Oh,
so school. Bloomington gave us our 1 defeat, and they were in the large school. So our one thing, like, if there was anything we could have, if we could have large school, small school, that would have been like the epic, but never came about. But that was like our one, because we were pumping up that game like no one's business. And then they had this rusher, Tate. I don't remember his first name, but Tate. You remember him?
Yeah.
No? Okay. But Honger was supposed to block him, right? And Honger's an emotional guy, right?
Dave, no, come on.
So he puts Tate, on his shoes, so he's walking all over him all day long.
I love it.
At school. So, and then, Tate ends up destroying us, messing with the backfield and stuff. And they also had a real good receiver, a real tall guy that we had a hard time with.
No, that was a homecoming game. I remember it. And I was in the stands just losing my mind. We couldn't block. We couldn't tackle much either.
Right.
And
that was
just
Tate.
Like, that was him. I remember him running over the line. And then the next year we swore we're going to beat these guys. We're going to avenge them. And we went on the road and they kicked our heads in. So it was just like Bloomingdale's, Bloomington. I hate you guys.
That's right. And then you hear the Ravens when you're away.
Raven. Like, yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh my goodness. The Raven Nevermore, or whatever that Edgar Allan Poe.
Right.
Edgar Allan Poe. I didn't read anything in high school. Oh, but anyway, so you got to go out on top, and it was motivating for us to come back and do it next year, because we're like, man, these guys set the example, and we need to step up and follow business. And that's what Rio Hondo Prep football is about, in my opinion. What can you speak of, Kyle? I got a few more sports questions for you, but just Rio Hondo Prep football and the brand that it really is, and has the tradition that has carried on. What can you speak of to just the brand that is Rio Hondo football?
Basically, the tradition is championship level. So it's like you're always, if you're not championship level, it's just kind of like everyone knows, hey, this is not good, right? So, but even like, you don't have to be the best team out there, but it's like you got to represent championship level on the field, and it means different things, at different times, not giving up, that kind of thing, where you're fighting the whole time. That I think that's what it means to me. It's like fighting, you're hitting hard, no matter your size. There's times where it's like in football, especially, where it's just like you could just be outmanned. It's like we played schools that we beat, like Kilpatrick or something like that, or Masada, where they just have these really good athletes. But it's like we're always in the game because of that championship mentality.
Yeah. That you represent, which is great, and compete. I think there's a responsibility that everyone who wears those helmets, shoulder pads, carries with them. And we saw it amazingly this year with them beating Charter Oak, and the past few years with big wins over Poly. I mean, the tradition is alive and well. And I just love that And all the athletics are great, but football is truly special if we're all being honest, and I just think the tradition does in fact continue. And you guys were a huge part of that, Kyle, if I must say so myself. So thank you for doing that. And I have a basketball story of all things. You're a big hoops guy, right? Mr. Basketball. Yeah.
No, I don't know how I got a starting position.
You know what? You were the dirty work.
I knew I wasn't good. So I had to figure out a way, because I'm going to compete, I'm not going to sitting on the bench isn't my, way of taking a sport off,
It's uncomfortable.
So
the bench is uncomfortable. I hear you. Yeah.
But right at that time you had the Bulls, Jordan and the Bulls out there. So it was like, I looked at their team makeup and I was like, dude, Dennis Rodman, that's like me, it's like, I could do what he does. So I started to just kind of watch what Dennis Rodman did. And, not necessarily at, total Dennis Rodman, but like getting
on the court. Yeah.
Yeah. On the court, of course. But just that you needed that fire, and, defense, pick up loose balls, all that kind of stuff. So I kind of took that as, a badge of like, dude, I could do this.
Yeah, my kind of guy.
And know my role. As long as you know your role, I'm not trying to score. It's like I don't really want to. I'd get open layups and Mr. Drain would be yelling at me, slow down or whatever. It's like dunk off the backboard. But yeah, so that's kind of what.
So yeah, you were a hustle guy, take charges, fight with pick fights with the big guys and have them swing at you and be like, oh, I didn't do anything, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Which I definitely crafted pretty well myself. But I remember I've never seen this before, which is why I'm bringing it up. It was at Pasadena Poly, and I've heard of like 3 fouls in the first half before, but I got, you had 4 fouls in the first quarter, not the half.
That's right.
Quarter. How do you get 4 fouls in the first quarter? You probably had 6, if we're honest, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
They had this guy Sargent, who was like their best player. So I was convinced I'm going to get in this guy's head. I'm going to shut him out, kind of thing. So the last foul, like he literally pushed me and I got the foul. Like
wasn't it a double foul, I think? Or maybe,
but he got 1 foul. It's like my 4th foul, It's like I was in his head. So I was like doing my job. I just wish I could have been out there a little longer. But
yeah, because your 5th came not too long after that. But
there was some silly fouls in there that I didn't really need, but
well, there often are some silly fouls in the Poly gym. I don't know what it is, if it's like contagious or what the deal is, but every time Rio goes into that gym, there's some shady calls, we'll say. And I'm a referee defending usually my crap.
Yeah, you're always defending those refs.
I'm like, they called it because they just don't like Kyle Corral. They're gonna foul him out. Anyway. But anyway, that's my basketball story for you. I just was like, I'm going to be him, but not get that. I'm not going to
get so many fouls.
I'm not going to get
caught.
Exactly. That was the lesson I learned from that, was like, okay, you got to be more stealthy, because I honestly, I played, a lot of basketball, and I don't think I fouled that very much. And anyone who knows me knows I was extremely dirty. So dirty and stealthy, I guess.
You were not quite as quick as I was. So you're more in the low post where you could kind of get away from it. Yeah. I would kind of bounce around. So I would take the ball up, just to make them hustle up the court and stuff like that. And that's usually where I got, fouls that were unnecessary, where I'm trying to steal a quick pass inbounds or something like that. Usually the coach is like, get back or whatever, but I was kind of replaceable. So it's like, I needed to use up those fouls. It's like
good man. That's so funny. So baseball was, in my opinion, it's hard because you were a heck of a football player, but I feel like baseball was your best sport. Was it your favorite sport?
In high school, it became my favorite sport. But
right.
Throughout my career, football was always my, favorite. Yeah.
But you were in an era really of Rio Hondo Prep Baseball, where there was, I don't know how to express this. There was an emphasis, there was a passion for it. I think Mr. Loomis really brought out an interest in guys to, hey, this is something we can be good at. And it was in 1999, you were a sophomore on the team, and you came up and you were a catcher, I think, most of your time, and you got thrown at the second base. And I remember you blocking balls like a catcher out there, and all the way to the CIF championship game. Tell me about the 99 team.
Yeah, that was a great team. And had we had Jacob Blake being healthy that game, I think we win that game. So, that's kind of, but who knows, right?
But it was tough too, because that hadn't happened yet. And then the next year in football, it's what made the football loss worse the next year, because your sophomore year and then, junior. So yeah, Jacob Blake, Mr. All Everything, one of the best athletes ever to go through Rio, hurts his hamstring in the championship game there at Blair Field. And you guys had a complete lineup, 2 very good pitchers, 3 if you include Brian Prest. And man, you guys just fell short. I think it was 5-1 or something, but you guys, we believed in you, and you guys had some amazing moments along that run.
Right. The other thing was, that was like the circus day. Do you remember that? It was
we had all go to the circus after.
It was championship day.
Right.
We all go, we put up booths at Citrus College, and then we sit outside Papa John's right outside Citrus College, eat our team meal there, and then head over to Blair Field. So I don't know if that had any impact on
there's
Jacob Blake's Sammy, but
there's been that darn sandwich booth. That is something I think Rio's done a better job at. Like, okay, let's not have mass construction on days of games, especially CIF championships. Let's have someone else do it. But free labor sometimes. I don't know. I remember Landon's and Fred's class, like the bleachers weren't done yet on Kare Field. And so the day of the first game against Grace Brethren, ironically, they were out there in the 100 degrees after school, finishing the bleachers, and then go play a football game, and they got beat. And it's like, well, what did you expect here? So
yeah, I don't mind that part though, because I view us as a blue collar, like,
I'm with you. I'm with you. But the day of the game, that's a little tough. The day of the game, that's all I'm saying. Let's do it a week before.
So, I don't mind it so much. I don't think that took away from what we did. It's a good story, and it's something we'll remember. It's like,
yeah. So getting that close to a CIF championship in baseball, your class specifically. You then went into your junior year, and the great class ahead of you guys became seniors. To me, it was that year when you guys were juniors that everyone was all in. Like, we are gonna win a baseball championship. We were that close. Talk to me about that year in 2000.
Yeah, that was another good year. So yeah, I think especially that they, like Hetty and Almond, they were like baseball guys. So they kind of led that charge, and created that environment. And it kind of was Perry and Sergio the year before. They were like all year they're talking about baseball rather than football or whatever else.
And
Perry liked basketball too, but it was just their thing. So they kind of created the environment for that team. But you didn't mention, like, each year that we lost, we ended up losing. It was the finals, semifinals, and quarterfinals. But it was the people who won each of those championships. So it's like, each team that we lost to ended up becoming the champion. So even though it was semifinals the next year in 2000, they were the champions. It's just in baseball, you could have an off day. You're not having a series or anything where, especially our senior year, that one is probably the most memorable and gives me nightmares to this day.
Yeah. You guys get back to the semifinals. You get to play Grace Brethren, who beat you guys on a neutral field the year before in the title game. This time it's at Kare Field. this is the golden opportunity. They had beat you guys in football that year in the fall.
Right.
Everything was built. This is one of the biggest build-up baseball games I ever remember at Rio Hondo Prep. And semifinal, here we go. And unfortunately, doesn't go our way.
Right. That's right.
Now, I had Almond on here. He said he came in, he gave up the big home run. And then I think he threw it. Sosa was like, "Hey, we're seniors, throw at this guy," or something. I think that's how it went down. I don't remember exactly, but
yeah, I don't. Yeah, my memory is a little off in that year because there were some games that were a little clearer. Like Murrieta, I thought was a better baseball team. Do you remember going down to?
I remember. I thought you broke your elbow on the first pitch of the game.
Yeah, that was.
You said it didn't hit you, or it did hit you?
No, it hit my jersey. But,
okay.
So, but I'm gonna play it off. I'm getting my base.
Yeah,
because I don't want to face this guy. This guy's throwing gas. It's like they're huge.
That.
It was like I thought they were a better team. I don't know how we won the game. So it's like
I don't either.
Everything after that point, I was kind of like, man, this must be gravy.
You guys, that's right. I forgot about that. You guys pulled off a huge upset there. When you won that game, I was like, there's no way these guys are losing. They're going all the way. And unfortunately, those darn Lancers and Grace Brethren beat you guys in the semifinal.
Yeah.
Oh, very frustrating. We have to talk about all these. See, it's funny to me. You remember the painful losses more than the joys. Right. That's just natural. So you get to your senior year, you lost a lot of guys. Okay, but you're seniors, you're confident. You and Press have been playing since sophomores. Right. Maybe
Rossiter was he didn't quite make he was on the cusp that sophomore year. So he played up a couple games and stuff like that. So he was on the cusp of he was that.
But a great baseball player, outstanding. I mean, an incredible left-handed swing, dude. Right. Just crush balls. And I hate bringing up this memory because I was there. I was on the boat. I was there as a fan. I was a sophomore. I had a lot of classmates on this game, but the infamous quarterfinal loss to Avalon, who ended up going on to win the championship. What do you remember about that game? And I know you do.
Yeah, that game. There's the list.
Yeah.
There's I don't know where to start on that.
How about leading 7-0? How about leading 7-0 after like 2 innings? How about that?
I think it was 10-1 at some point. 10-1. Yeah.
Oh, that hurts.
Right. So we're almost run them, right? And I think that's kind of where it went down. I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know exactly the situation, but I think everything's working out for us. I think I hit a double or something. I'm on second base, and then I don't know who's behind me. So I was first. I don't remember our order, but someone else gets a hit, right? So I'm rounding third base, and I don't know, my perception, something was off where the fence was closer to the bag than I was used to. So when I rounded it, I was going to hit the fence. So I slipped and I'm rolling in the fence. I could still picture Mr. Loomis like standing over me and he doesn't know what to tell me. Cause it's like the ball's still in the outfield, but I'm still rolling around like, go home, you can still score. And he tells me to go back to the bag, and then I don't know who someone else
you were going to be, you guys had a big lead. Avalon came back, tied it, took the lead late in games. And you were going to be the tying run in like the 6th, maybe the 7th. And we're rounding that bag. And the fence was tight and the angle. Anyway, you go down, you end up not scoring later. And Rio loses by, I think, 1 run.
Right. So I think that's kind of when it went down. No, I think I would have been the 10th run. So like we would have been up by 10.
Oh, to end it?
To end it. But then from that point on, I think we would have to go a couple more innings before the 10-run rule would be enforced, because this is like probably second or third inning. I don't know exactly what the rules are.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. It was something, just one run, either tying
right,
it
right.
or whatever it was. And I just
So,
remember that. Yeah.
but then we don't score after that point. Everything else goes down. You have base runners running into our infielders. You have Echeverria,
right.
one that gets hit out there. He doesn't put his hands up, so they give the guy a triple instead of a ground rule double. You have the pipe that goes along the
so
like I don't know what it designated, but if you hit it over the pipe, it's this, or you know. And then the umpire, he wouldn't call a curveball for a strike. So that was
you're the
probably
catcher. And you're the catcher, so you got the view.
Yeah. So
you're an honest man. I know you.
so he just wouldn't call it, any curveball. So it's like, I think Press was pitching, but he has to, pipe it, and they're gonna hit it. It's like, if we can't get that, the corners, for a curveball, this isn't gonna work. So yeah, eventually I'm getting frustrated back there. I'm kind of showing the umpire up, which probably isn't helping, like by holding my glove out there a little longer than it should have. So as an umpire, you probably know that you're probably not, from this point on, it doesn't matter how close it is, you're not.
Yeah, that doesn't help too much. That doesn't help too much. No, I remember all these details. This is that game for me was just like everything that could go right went right. And then everything that could go wrong went wrong. It was the weirdest baseball game I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of them. And yeah, the possible interference play, the Echeverria. So to tell fans
Jordan gets picked off.
Jordan, pay attention, Jordan. Not his last time picked off either. Love that guy. But so to paint a picture for people, this is Avalon High School, which is on Catalina Island. So it's the only high school there, and they play sports against the small schools and everything because of small enrollment. So their field was like super small. So there's the center field fence that's probably, I don't know, 200 feet from home plate, would you say? So there's a fence, and then it's just the mountain. And up on the mountain, there's this white pipe that if you hit it over that pipe, it's a home run. But unfortunately, if you hit it over the fence for 200 feet, it's a ground rule double because it's so short. So Avalon was just peppering it over that fence, double to get back into this game that Rio was winning like 10-1.
Right. Yeah. So we had like a, because that right field was so short that we'd move. I think Dinius was playing right, so we moved them more to like a rover.
Extra infielder,
right. So to try to get us, an edge, but yeah, and there was a guy on the pipe yelling at us, like, so he's on the field because he's on the pipe,
Yeah.
And so he's yelling at us or whatever, and then I don't know what rule it was, but I think it was Mr. Drain or Mr. Loomis or something. I think it was Mr. Drain because I talked to him. He says, I don't know what rule it was, but the umpire's like, Mr. Drain's yelling at him. It's like, that's not the rule. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, I have the rule book right here. And he goes, if you bring that rule book out of here, I'm going to throw you out of this game. And Mr. Drain's like, what is going on here?
Yeah, that's right. Might have been worth it. No, hey, this is black and white right here. Let's fix this.
Is the rule. Yeah.
But no, I mean, yeah, so many. And I just remember Rossiter hit a ball. If there's, thank goodness there was a mountain there, because that thing would still be going. He hit when those guys were heckling him, and he just hit one over. That was one of the biggest bombs I've ever seen. Incredible game. You guys lost, and a rough boat ride home to end your senior year of playing ball. And I remember Mr. Loomis walked from third base. He picked up whoever had made the last out, and he launched that
was
thing.
Ross was the last strikeout, because I'm like, dude, if I get up, this is my dream right here. Right. So I'm like, I'm getting on, it's like, but like, oh shoot, I gotta go through this sophomore. Ross, you better get on, So I don't know.
Oh, but Mr. Loomis picked that bat up and launched that sucker and
Right.
into the dugout. I mean, I was just like, oh, and it was in that moment as that bat's flying through the air where I'm like, man, it's our turn now. It's these guys took their shot and it's over. And it was the first moment for me of realizing the finality of
Right.
your athletic career and seeing that in that instant moment, I became a junior and you
Right.
guys were done and everything you'd worked so hard for was over. Now there's bigger and better things, but at the time,
Right.
as a teenager, that's
Right.
everything to us,
That's
man.
it. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We
Not
had
to bring up painful memories.
yeah. Then we had camp cleanup day or Memorial Day weekend, I think was right after that. So I think the next day we went up to camp to do the fire clearance and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it is what it is.
Not
what it
all
is, right?
not all memories, not all great memories or
Right.
good memories, you know. And they're learning experiences for sure. And
right. I think it made me a better man, you know, losing probably better than winning.
Good point.
Just because you have to continue to fight, you know, it's like nothing's going to be given to you, you know. you keep fighting, you know. So yeah, I think losing creates more character depending on how you take it than winning.
Yeah, because it's all about how you respond big time.
Right.
It reveals, you know, your true character. And yeah, I remember that it was a long boat ride home and just seeing everything and being like, oh man, we're not going to let this happen. And then we never won a playoff game. We lost in the first round the next 2 years. So it's kind of like that excellent era of Rio Hondo baseball ended so fast. It was so big and then ended quickly. And they've won a title a few years ago, but
yeah,
I will never forget the early 2000s.
Right. Yeah. It was definitely, yeah, we were trying to be that first one. And that was what like Sergio and Perry would always be like telling us, oh, we're, you know, this is going to be us. So then we try to take it, you know, but it just didn't work out, you know.
Live and learn. Well, Kyle, you go into RHLA and we had the, you know, opportunity to be in RHLA at the time for a while and coaching kids and this and that. But I would say your biggest contribution to Kare Youth League thus far has been among the group that spearheaded efforts really to expand to Upland. And I want to hear from you kind of about maybe some people that were not specifically, but if people were skeptical on your idea here, or if it was people that were totally supported it, or what were the challenges and where did you get this idea of, you know what, I want to be the guy that expands Kare Youth League eastward?
Mm-hmm. So it kind of back then we did things a little different. So like RHLA, we had like jobs. I don't know if you had it in back, but I had to like mow Russell Park, the infields. So I was mowing Russell Park and I just felt like the Lord was speaking to me and like, there's more than just here. And, and there's more kids that need to be reached kind of thing. And so from that point on, like I spoke to Mr. Bollinger, who started the Gators, and he was kind of all for it. Yeah, let's do it. You know, let's see what happens. So we brought up, we like I composed like a letter to send to all the staff and like introduce them to what we're thinking, and then asked for anyone that was interested in, you know, taking part in this. And we had a few, you know, prayer support versus, you know, being in there on the front lines. So, you know, we had response from different people, and yeah, I think that's kind of always been my mission now is expansion, and it's more of like a missionary mindset where going out because I think the Kare Youth League model is needed, you know, everywhere. You know, it's like, but it is so labor intensive, you know, needing dedicated staff and stuff like that. So I am seeing some, you know, what it really takes now, and you know, going forward, how do we expand and, you know, keep creating leaders that want to do this. And sacrifice and do all that kind of stuff.
What were some of the challenges, and how did you guys end up landing in Upland? Were there other ideas of possible expansion, like maybe Orange County or I don't know, high desert or something? How did you guys end up at Upland?
So yeah, we were open to go anywhere, so I was like canvassing the area, Simi Valley, down in Murrieta, Redlands. I was looking for, a piece of land, something we could start with, so there was an abandoned park in there near Murrieta. There's like a county area, I don't know what it's called, but there was an abandoned park there. So we tried that and got nothing there. But then Dave and I, we were kind of going out, and I actually created like a little matrix, like statistically, I had taken advanced stats and stuff like that. So I wanted to go up about it, in a very exponential way. So it's like, so I'm just not going around the country. So I kind of analyzed, the type of schools, the size of the cities, that like towards Covina and Arcadia, that, created the environment of care, so that we could find it, somewhere else, and we could narrow down our search, because, Southern California is gigantic, right? So kind of narrowing down that focus to, schools, school district sizes and different things, to make a matrix, and then canvassing those areas. So those areas that I mentioned fit that radius or data set when we're looking.
Wow.
But anyway, so we're looking around, and then Dave asked, I'm not good with names. So name, Jim Key's father-in-law. I can't remember his name. I should, and he's like, there's this place there's this church that I'm affiliated with or something. He knew somebody in Upland. So we go to this one church. It's now Water of Life church off 8th Street in Upland. But they're like, yeah, we don't really have anything, but there's this Pacific Christian Center, up the road. They have a basketball gym. Maybe you could check there. And then so we go over there, we knock on their door. And then there's a man named Ken Becker who was managing the facility at the time, and we see, a dirt lot, and we're like, hey, what's that dirt lot over there? The Caraway kind of thing. Can we put some, grass on it, and make it a field? And he's like, yeah, go for it. So that's kind of how we got Upland, and Upland did fit in that, data matrix, not by design, like we weren't looking specifically for Upland, but it ended up working out that way. We did look in Rancho because there were some like churches like that have like huge lots of land, and we're like, dude, a church, all this land, what better place, for us to like do it. But we would get the not the right time, we have plans for this, and today it's still vacant land. It's like, come on guys, be stewards. But anyways.
So no, that's it's really interesting, because I remember that was the big mystery. Where's it? You guys got the green light from the organization, right? And it was like, where's this going to end up? And when you guys landed in Upland, I almost felt like it worked out exactly how it should have, because Upland's also just far enough away where it seems farther from Rio and Covina, but you can still travel there and compete without losing a whole day's travel and stuff like that.
Right.
And it sounds like it's where God wanted you guys to be
right.
at. And
yeah,
go ahead.
It definitely wasn't mine. Like I wanted to go to Mexico or something like that. So it was like, it really was, God leading us to that spot. Like I would have preferred Murrieta, so that we could kind of be all alone and see if it will really work outside the comfort of, mom and dad kind of thing, supporting you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
commuter college. Yeah. Commuter college.
Right. Yeah. But it ended up, God's. leading
So
is the
what,
best.
so tell me, and forgive me if I leave some names off, but if I remember, it was you, Mike Murphy, Dave Carson Jr. I think maybe Pauline Murphy. It was
Yeah,
a
Pauline
small
was
group
there.
of you guys, right?
Yeah,
Was that the
JR
early
was also part of that.
JR Calderon? Yeah,
yeah.
I can't forget
Right.
his great work. And what was it like? What were those first few days like of basically, I mean, it's nothing any of us have ever, but you're basically starting Kare Youth League. How many kids showed up? What was there hiccups? What was the first couple days like doing Kare Upland?
Yeah, so we started with basketball because we knew, basketball has smaller teams and things like that. Our intention was always to be self-sufficient. So it was like we have 4 teams there, and then kind of grow from there and have areas of our own out there. So that was always our vision going into it. So we started with basketball, and the first day, we sent out flyers to schools, and we got about 40 kids. I think it was like K through second maybe, or K and 1, where we're starting the youngest kids and then kind of building them up as they grow and kind of build from there. So there was about 40 kids, boys and girls. So we basically ran like a clinic, and made teams from there, and then we moved on to other sports. So we used like some parks for football and baseball, and there's some experiences there where because like you have these juggernauts of care areas. It's like these guys aren't going to give you anything. It's like everyone's still competitive, so it's like when you have a group of everybody is new at football, it's like those first years were really tough, where it's like motivation, keeping kids motivated to play football when you have these these juggernauts, they got their system down and stuff like that. Yeah, so eventually we didn't have enough numbers to do 4 teams, especially in the bigger sports, football, baseball, and stuff like that. So then we combined to do one strong area.
Gotcha.
But, yeah.
And how long has it been? What year was the expansion
2006.
year?
2006. So that was like the first 2006. Well, it was January 2006 where we started that basketball.
15 years.
So we started
roughly.
like getting phone calls and stuff like that before that, leading up in 2005, but we started January 2006.
Man, that's crazy to think about, that it's been that
Yeah,
long.
it's almost 20 years, right?
15, 20, 16 years. I mean, what is the current status of the Upland program? How, teams, and you guys still at the same site? What's the Upland Kare Youth League experience like now?
Yeah, so we're at the same site at Pacific Christian Center in Upland, and like the rest of Kare Youth League, our numbers right now are through the roof. Like we have more kids than we've ever had. Throughout.
What do you attribute that to? Is it everyone being locked up for a year and a half or so?
Yeah, probably. That's the only thing we could kind of really chalk it up to. It's the only variable that is really tangible that we could see that has been the difference.
Because it wasn't that long ago, Kyle, where numbers were really down, and Kare was, they were, struggling a little bit. We needed more kids involved, and God has provided a big surplus of kids now, and now it's up to the to have more leaders and stuff.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, we're at the first time where it's like we are maxed out on every team, where it's like we cannot take any more kids because we just can't serve them, because we're talking 20, 30 kids on a team now. You're trying to divide up in 2 teams, and then all this kind of stuff, where we really need more leaders to serve them.
No, definitely. And let me ask, has Kare really improved as far as they've always done a decent job of, like, we'll say advertising, to get the word out. Hey, here's the program. Are you seeing more and more families come to you guys? Hey, we've heard great things about this organization, or are you still having to, like, explain yourself who Kare Youth League is, or is the brand out there a lot more now?
Yeah, I like, we used to send out, flyers to schools. That was like our big draw and getting membership. They stopped doing that, and that attributed to the lack of, like, the decline in attendance. So we weren't able to get to the schools anymore directly. So then we did banners for a while, but now, we do very little banners. It's just, a lot of it is due to, Santa Fe Care Park being
Oh yeah.
such a, in a place that's highly visible. It kind of markets itself. So it's
Yeah.
like, you have millions of cars driving through there, every year. So
It sure beats
just
having
kinda
to
like,
find the Arcadia complex at the very end of a street,
right,
right?
right.
That's tucked away,
Exactly.
complete opposite.
Yeah, exactly. It's right there, right in front of you. So, like, marketing wise, we're doing a little more, like, being more visible on social media and things like that. And James Key is helping that, trying to keep up when people ask questions and stuff like that, to answer those questions and be available for people. Because that's kind of where, people are searching. Where they search is, you go online to find a baseball program and stuff, and trying to keep our, our social media and web-based presence.
Yeah. No, it's the way of the world these days, and you gotta
Right.
stay out there and relevant. And I think there is a hunger for parents to find a sports league like Kare Youth League and a school like Rio, because there are so many negative experiences now. I mean, I used to be at gyms and little league and pony fields, and it's chaos out there. I mean, parents and
Right.
adults seem to ruin the experience at times, but I think
Right.
Kare has done a wonderful job of continuing to be, that good foundation, that place that everything's going to be clean and do things the right way, and a great experience for families. So keep up the good
Right.
work. I know funding is
Yeah.
always a big thing, donations
Right.
from people, and you guys just had some recent fundraiser experience, didn't you, at Angel Stadium?
That's right. Yeah, we had our sponsorship drive, and that, some people, we used to always do the circus, right?
Yeah.
Everyone loves the circus, right? But there came a point where it's just like, what is our goal here? Are we trying to raise money, or are we trying to have a good time? So so we kind of transitioned into having a fee that covers all the fundraising and things like that, and then offer team sponsorships and more corporate giving from our board, to kind of alleviate some of those overhead costs. So yeah, we did our fundraising event. We raised about $50,000 for the program, which is good. And yeah, we had about 150 sponsors, which is good. We hope, to raise it, of course, over the years. But yeah, I think things are going well.
So what exactly was this Angel Stadium? Was it I saw photos. You talked off the air with me briefly about it. It was a breakfast or a luncheon or something. Were you guys speaking, or take me through?
So our Angel Stadium brunch, we run two kind of separate campaigns. One is for a team base, where it's like teams could get sponsors for their team, and they get, decals on their helmets, banners for the sites and things like that. And then the sponsor will get 2 tickets to go to this Angel Stadium brunch. And then we also have the other side, where it's more friends of board members or contacts that we have business wise, that will buy a table to the event. So the event is like a VIP event, where, it's $200 for a ticket, but we put on this really good event. live music and kind of tell the Kare story to all these donors that are there and kind of capture them in what we're doing and why there's a need to support this specific organization. Because there's a lot of great organizations out there, right? They're doing great things, but we also think we have something great that is needed by our community, by these kids, for the everyday kid, and we need support. So that's kind of what we do there. We tell the essential care story. We have guest former members speak there. We have, Mr. Horn MCs, and just a great event.
Yeah. Oh no, so much has changed.
Myself.
So much has changed. I mean, the circus is no more. There's other fundraisers, and there was so much work that went into the circus for everyone from the top down. It's like, is this worth the effort we put in? And then the I Care for Youth dinner. Do they still do anything like that anymore?
So it's kind of like this is
a version.
The brunch is kind of like turned into that.
Okay.
Right.
Well,
so
and
kind of morphed of.
And you could do it at a site. Yeah, like, hey, Angel Stadium. Right. Oh, cool. This is neat. We might see Mike Trout or something if we go there.
Right, so, exactly. Yeah. So it gives a name to, because if you just say, hey, you want to come to the I Care for Youth dinner at the pavilion, some high level donor isn't necessarily going to take time to go down there, right?
Good point. Yeah.
Unless they really knew about us, but it's hard to get in front of them and tell our story. So it's like, this is kind of like the carrot, to kind of get in front of them. We've done that at Dodger Stadium, the Rose Bowl, and the locker rooms and stuff like that.
Wow.
So
that's cool.
Yeah, it's a cool event.
Well, you guys, you got to embrace how unique you truly are. And I think anytime I hear people speak about the program, that is kind of the one thing that gets out there. Like, there's nothing like Kare Youth League. There might be some things but no, there's nothing truly like Kare Youth League.
Right.
And that's what people need to hear. And I think people can definitely support more of. What's the best way? Maybe someone who's listening to this who doesn't know anything about Kare Youth League, what's the best website maybe to learn about it, or to see maybe some fundraising options for donations maybe?
Yeah, so kyl.org, that's Kare Youth League's website. And then there's a donate link on the upper right-hand side, where you could donate if you wanted to. But if you've never been to Kare Youth League and you want to learn more, the best thing to do is to, come on a tour or something like that. Reach out to me or someone in my department, Dan Kirby or Jay Lammers, and, check it out for yourself. You see how special the place is, with kids, 1,000 kids running around, and it's semi-chaotic, but very organized.
Organized chaos. Organized.
Yeah, right. So yeah, that was Mr. Martin. He was organized chaos. So yeah, that's what I would recommend, because you could try to explain it to someone, but you just can't even grasp it. Like,
you got to see it.
Even talking to my wife, like when I was first dating her, I intentionally didn't tell her everything up front. Like, there's like no way. Like, how are you gonna? And then like we'd be going to the Albertsons in Arcadia, and it's like, if you go to Albertson Arcadia, you're likely to see somebody from Kare Youth League there, right? It's like that's the spot. So I'd say hi to someone, and how do you know that guy? Oh, that was my coach as whatever, or that was my 6th grade teacher or whatever. It's like But it's basically, Kare Youth League is it's a small town community in a big suburban, Southern California, which is like the most densely populated area, 25 square miles in the United States. So, but I never lived in a small town, but I would expect that's kind of what you get. And I think there's a hunger for that in people today, like that community. It's like we live in these, big, nice houses or whatever, brand new, whatever. But we don't have community. Like, I talk to parents now, being the Upland site director, and that's like, people, they're from other states or countries, and it's like, I never thought I would get that again. Because that's what they were looking for. They thought they were going to give that up to move to Southern California. And it's really not around. I haven't seen it where it's like, you know, there's other churches that might have a little bit of it, but even churches are getting bigger and losing that community and that relationship with people. And you know, I think that's what I love about it the most. You know, it's like, you know, we talked about earlier, the brotherhood. It's like, I have that today. You know, it's like, I didn't lose that in high school. I have those brothers now, you know, coaching out there with me. You know, it's like, I can, you know, any given day, I know that guy next to me is like doing the same things I'm doing. It's like, it's a reassuring feel in brotherhood, you know, and serving God in that way.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to wrap it up. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. It sounds like you're living your dream, Kyle. You're doing the Lord's work literally. And man, Kare Youth League needs more guys like you, guys and girls. And there are so
Amen.
many great staff members there already, people that have been affiliated, and Upland has grown. I mean, you guys got your own church service out there now too, right? With
That's
Pastor
right.
Carson, man.
That's right.
So there are options for people: Upland, Covina, Arcadia, Irwindale, or maybe not Arcadia, Irwindale. And you know, it's crazy to think that whatever it's been 15 years ago, none of this stuff existed, and now it's thriving. And God is good, man. God is good.
That's right. Amen.
Kyle, thanks for doing this, man. I appreciate it. We'll try to get you guys some new members somehow. And one more time, Cookies and Pints website
right.
or Instagram.
Yeah,
you said?
Cookies and Pints Instagram. Yeah, that's my wife tells me Instagram is the way to go.
Well, she seems to know what she's doing. So we'll look for Kyle in the back washing ice cream bowls or whatever.
That's right.
Come say hello and make it a double scoop. You know what I mean? And a
well,
cookie, of course.
We're pints, so you got to get it in a pint. Yeah, pint of ice cream. So we have a full pint, half pint, mini pint. So we're not scooping it. And then we have ice cream sandwiches.
Cookie to dip in, maybe, or something.
Yeah, we have ice cream sandwiches. Yeah, cookies are all of our pints of ice creams will have cookies in it.
Oh,
so think about it. Like, what's your like a McFlurry, right?
Yeah,
a few little crumbs of cookie. That's like, I want some cookie. But all of our ice creams is like a signature blend of what my wife has concocted. You know, it's like, it's bliss in your mouth.
I believe it. You're killing me. You know, with summer 6-pack, and now I'm gonna have to jog to Upland every day to get one of these.
That's
just
right.
To justify the crushing these calories. But everyone, make sure to check out Cookies and Pints in downtown Upland. Make the drive if you're close by, and they open in June here. So Kyle, can't thank you enough. Thanks for all your work, man, and for the memories. And looking forward to some cookies and ice cream here real soon.
All right. Thank you very much.
Kyle Corral, the one and only, the one-time academy president. He was always a team captain, usually on those teams, and a guy, again, that I looked up to greatly in high school. And what a competitor. You could see he's got energy going into this new business venture with his wife, and just continues to do great work for Kare Youth League, expanding the program. And it's awesome to hear that the program has expanded and gotten, you know, a much bigger population, enrollment, whatever you want to call it. There's always room for more kids out there, and definitely they need more coaches here and there. And Kare Youth League is still one of the finest youth sports organizations around. I would put it up against anything in the world, really. And we're fortunate to have them here in Southern California, with locations in Upland, Covina, and now Irwindale. So you can't miss the Kare Youth League venue if you're driving off the 605 freeway, just south of the 210 and right before the Live Oak exit there by the Santa Fe Dam. A great facility with fields and courts and all kinds of great stuff for families to spend a Saturday on or a weeknight on. And it's just things like that have really propelled Kare Youth League into a next level and into a new generation, Willie. And it was Kyle who back in 2006 had a dream, or 2005, I should say, and it came to fruition in January of 06. And man, he's leading the charge, and you got to love his enthusiasm. And so anyway, Kyle Corral, appreciate you sharing some memories with me too about some sports days. I love to go back in time and talk about this stuff, even if other people don't. I love to reminisce because the thoughts are still in my head from all these games that I've witnessed and the tears I've shed for a lot of painful losses and some tears of joy as well. Guys, I will wrap up today's episode of the podcast. Thank you for joining me. As always, you can follow us on social media, Facebook and Instagram, Get Home Safe Podcast. Our Twitter handle is Get Home Safe Pod. And email me if you have questions, comments, topic suggestions, guest suggestions, gethomesafepodcast@yahoo.com. If you don't have social media, you will follow us. You can find us every week, I should say, Tuesdays and Fridays. Tuesdays, just me rambling away my random opinions about sports, current events, just anything really. And then Fridays, I try to have a guest on like I had today with Kyle Corral. So Tuesdays and Fridays, currently the current format on the Get Home Safe podcast. And one more time, cookies and pints. Look for them in Upland, California, as well as on Instagram, where I'm sure they will have plenty of temptation photos that will get you down there to partake in all the goodness. So that'll wrap it up. Thanks, guys. We will be back next week on Tuesday for me, rambling away as I do, and then another great guest on Friday. But until then, guys, as always, no matter what you're doing, whether you're out on the town or rounding third base, get home safe.